Hi, everyone, and welcome to It Takes Two to Library, a critical issues workshop about public and school library collaboration. Maybe you're here to meet your school or public librarian counterpart and get started on the collaboration process, or maybe you've already reached out to each other and you need some ideas. Either way, I hope that this workshop gives you the confidence and motivation you're looking for in order to better serve your patrons and your students. This workshop will outline the collaboration process in a few different steps, but I want to remind you that collaboration will look different for everyone. The needs of our students and patrons will always vary, so our efforts will be different depending on our populations. The success of this workshop depends on your active participation, mirroring the way that you'll see success in your collaboration efforts. I hope that you came to engage in some lively discussion, take some serious notes, and brainstorm some fantastic ideas. Before we officially dive in, I want to go over today's objectives so that they stick in your mind throughout the workshop. I know that my school librarians here are very familiar with learning objectives, but maybe public librarians are not as oriented with them. The first objective is simple. I want to make sure everyone here meets and chats with their counterpart, especially if you haven't ever reached out to one another previously. By the end of the workshop, I hope you have exchanged contact information and feel motivated to keep the communication lines open and honest. Second, I want each pair or group to identify at least 2 ways in which they can help each other work towards their vision. I hope that these are clearly written out by the end of the workshop. And then third and finally, I hope you leave here with at least the bones of an action plan to work towards your collaboration vision. This doesn't have to be extremely detailed, but it should contain at least 2 steps for what will happen next. I want everyone to feel a sense of commitment and focused energy into their collaboration projects. I want to start by recognizing that school and public libraries generally have similar missions. In ALA's Public and School Library Collaboration Toolkit, Jody Howard, Shanna Miles, and Rachel Weinwald state, both public and school libraries are community centers at heart with the same goal, to provide a safe, welcoming environment for all patrons and access to information in a variety of formats. While we may work towards these goals in different ways, we operate under very similar guiding principles. To get us started, I want to take a few minutes for an open discussion about mission. Would anyone like to start us off by sharing their library's mission? After someone shares, we'll see how many librarians from the other side identify with that mission. Then, we can discuss ways in which our missions differ based on the type of institution we're a part of. So who wants to go first? Now that we've identified the commonalities and potential discrepancies within our missions and goals, let's get moving. I want everyone to find their counterparts, and you may have more than one, and sit together. After you've found them, find new seats and take a few minutes to get to know each other. We'll reconvene as a group in about 5 minutes. I'm seeing a lot of animated conversation, which is great. But to break the ice a little more, let's all stand up and form a circle. This activity will work best if we have public librarians to the right and school librarians to the left. The purpose of this activity is to find common ground between the problems that school and public librarians face. I have some common issues listed on the slide, and after we've gone through them all, I want to open it up to the group for other suggestions. As I call out an issue, I want you to step into the circle if it's something you experience in your library. By doing so, we'll be able to visualize the biggest issues that impact both types of libraries. This will give you some ideas of where to start when prioritizing your collaborative goals for your action plan. Let's get started. Great job, everyone! I hope you're all feeling supported knowing that your counterpart faces a lot of the same issues despite being in a different environment. Now that we identified common issues, I'd like to talk about some specific roadblocks that anyone has run into past collaboration efforts. Let's take a few minutes to share attempts that haven't worked, and maybe the wisdom of the crowd can offer a solution. I'll start us off. The public library where I work is a little bit different than most. Though we're definitely a public library, we're governed by the school board, and sometimes our policies can be onerous since they're often created by people who don't work in the library. An example of a frustration we've experienced is the school's policy on posting flyers from outside organizations. Technically, the public library isn't really an outside organization, at least in my opinion, since we're managed by the same governing board. However, in order to get our program flyers into the schools, they had to be approved by the superintendent. Of course, a superintendent has a million things to do every day, so approving a flyer would get pushed to the side. There were many times where we would get the flyers approved to distribute, but by the time the message was relayed, the program was over. More recently, the school informed us that they've gone paperless, and if we wanted our flyers distributed, we'd have to provide a copy for every single student. Since we're the biggest district in the county, this isn't something we're willing to do. A roadblock like this seems like such a simple fix, but unfortunately it's something we still struggle with. Does anyone have a similar situation or another story of frustration that they'd like to share? Let's use the wisdom of the group to talk about these experiences thoughtfully. So now that we've talked about the issues and our failed attempts, I think it's time we hear about some success stories. I'm guessing many school librarians read or have read AASL's Knowledge Quest blog. For anyone who isn't familiar with it, there's one blog series titled Gimme a C for Collaboration. The series highlights successful collaboration efforts, usually between school and public libraries. The blog offers some excellent examples and is a great place to draw inspiration from. One recent post from March of 2018 discusses a collaborative effort between the Los Angeles School District and the Los Angeles Public Library System to get library cards into the hands of students. A separate type of fine-free card was created for students, and they called it a Student Success Card. To distribute the cards, they've experimented with a few different methods and are still in the process of determining what works best. Regardless, the author of this post, Marcia Melkonian, states that the visible outcome is students who are excitedly entering the library, looking around, and imagining all of the possibilities that are available at their fingertips. As you can tell, this effort was and still is an ongoing process. It shows that successful collaboration will take multiple attempts and serious effort, but the outcome can be extremely poignant and meaningful in terms of our collective mission. Does anyone else have a success story that they'd like to share? Let's get the group inspired before we start working on our goals and action plans. Now that we're inspired, let's work with our partners or group to develop some SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, results-focused, and time-bound. An example of a SMART goal would be, beginning in October 2018, a public librarian will run a bi-monthly book club during lunch periods in middle school. Later on, you can add a few specific objectives to each goal to help you stay on track. For today, let's work on identifying areas where collaboration would foster student engagement. Prioritize at least 2 goals and clearly define them with your partner or team for the next 10 minutes. I'll be walking around the room to help guide your goal writing. This may seem like an awkward time of year to start collaborating with your counterpart since the school year is coming to an end, but actually, summer is a great time for school librarians to encourage their students to head to the public library for summer reading programs. In fact, a 2012 study done by Susan Roman and Carol D. Fiore titled, Do Public Library Summer Reading Programs Close the Achievement Gap? Found that students who participated in the public library summer reading program maintained and increased reading skills. So don't be afraid to jump into a collaboration project over the summer. Your efforts may benefit students more than you know. After about 10 or 15 minutes of planning together, I'm going to ask for some volunteers to offer their goals and plans to the group for criticism. Don't feel embarrassed if your plan is very rough. This is just the beginning and we're all here to learn from each other. So let's get started with working with our partners and team to form our future action plans. So this brings us to the end of the workshop. I hope everyone is leaving feeling positive, motivated, and ready to continue the collaboration efforts that they started today. Sometimes that first initiation is the hardest, so hopefully having crossed that hump today will have made your future collaboration at least a little bit easier. Please be sure your preferred email address is listed on the sign-in sheet. I'll be sending a link to an evaluation survey to get participant insight for future workshops on this topic. Now go forth and collaborate!